are now listening to the Life of Produk Podcast.
Yeah, what up, man? It's the boy Produk. We're now back with the Life of Produk Podcast. This is episode 104. Shouts out to John Bernard. He came through for episode 103, man. Shouts out to the new YouTube subscribers. Shouts out to the people on streaming. We are doing some pretty good numbers, man. Thank you to everybody, because the show would not be where it is without any of you guys. This is episode 104. We are 104 deep. I have a returning guest on the show. He called into the show last time when I was at the old location. Shouts out to Christopher Corrado. Welcome back, my guy.
LOP, thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. LOP in the building. Yo, listen, man. He's a fellow New Yorker like me, man. Yo, we taking over down here. And I love the energy. I'm meeting so many people from back home. What part of New York are you from? I can't remember.
Flushing, Queens.
Flushing, Queens. Queens is dope because I was out in Queens for I think 3 years. 4 years, 3 years, something like that. What was the vibes like back then?
So back in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah.
It was obviously a much different time. I remember being 5 years old and Ma just saying, go outside and play.
Yeah.
You could walk up, not cross the street, but walk around the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think people would let 5-year-olds do that today.
Nah, they
anyway.
definitely wouldn't. Back then it was different because you could go outside. I think the number one rule in New York is back then if you was a kid, you could go outside alone, just don't cross the street.
Right.
That, you know what I'm saying?
They would, the convenience store would sell me cigarettes just because they knew it was for my mom and my sister. So now it's like, don't matter who it's for. You can't buy the cigarettes.
No, that's fact. My mom always be like, yo, go to Hana and give me Benson Hedges and menthol. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. You know what I'm saying? But, I think these kids nowadays ain't really built like that. These kids kind of cry when their device died. You know what I'm saying? But I got you back on the show. This is one thing I wanted to point out. You said something very interesting to me. You said, don't let your age define you. Last time. I want you to elaborate on that because I got younger people starting to listen now, but the older crowd is listening. And that younger crowd, they're not going to stay young forever. I'll touch base on that.
Yeah, so I would have to say that, there are things you could do to put in place to stay the best you as possible.
Yeah.
Whether it be, just staying educated, eating healthy most of the time, doing some type of exercise, whether it be weight training, cardio, martial arts.
Yeah.
Sometimes just taking time to just relax and focus on your breathing.
Yeah.
You got to look at some of the best athletes out there, whether you like them or don't like them. I'd have to say I just recently watched Big George Foreman.
I want to see that. That's the movie, the biopic about him, right?
Yeah, I definitely recommend that. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy I didn't know this until I saw the movie that, he took off 10 years.
I didn't know that
before he came back to fight again. The guy, I believe he's the oldest person to ever win a heavyweight championship belt.
Wow.
He's got Tom Brady. Even if you don't like him, the guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's got what? How many rings? 6? Is it
probably at
6
least
Super Bowls, something like that? I'm not a Patriots fan. I was never a Patriots fan because I'm a Giants and Jets fan. But I mean, you gotta give the guy credit.
Yeah, you gotta
give him credit.
If you're in your mid 40s and big linebackers, they're 20-something years old, are still hitting you.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you have a fantastic offensive line, you still get hit sometime.
Yeah, exactly.
And to get up and still play, I can't hate on that.
You can't hate on that. It's kind of like you can't hate on greatness. As much as you want to hate on greatness, you can't. You know what I'm saying? And it was even more impressive when he went to Tampa Bay and he got a ring with them. There's rumors that he might come back. I don't think he should, man. I think he need to just because they ain't just signed a contract to be like an analyst or something like that.
I feel like, that he's somehow, some way going to stay involved. I think that's probably the best route. It
is, man. I can see him coaching, though, down the line.
It's not a bad idea.
That would be incredible. Imagine he wins 6 more. Or however many more.
Look at Steve Kerr.
There you go.
From when he played and now coaching. He probably has what? He got 3 with the Bulls, Spurs maybe?
I can't remember with the Spurs, but he got about 3 with the Bulls.
And then how many with Golden State?
I lost count at this
3,
point.
4? I mean
3. I think 4. It could be 5. I could be wrong, but he's got a lot. I mean, you know what I hate? Whenever we talk about the greats of NBA, nobody ever throws Steve Kerr's name into the mix. Nobody ever throws it because he wasn't the most fashionably quote-unquote cute player. He wasn't out dunking from the foul line. He wasn't doing that, but his technical game was incredible. Kind of like Steve Nash. Steve Nash had a great technical game. Nobody puts him into the mix of that. But, I mean, look at the numbers this guy has done. Look what he's done with the game.
Right. Steve Kerr, the Bulls would have won whether he was on the team or not.
Yeah.
Jordan, no, they were not going to win without Jordan.
No, definitely not.
But you don't see Jordan coaching now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Steve Kerr is, so maybe he was just a better coach than player.
Yeah, possibly, man. And that's kind of like Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers was a great coach. I'm sorry, I wasn't the biggest Doc Rivers fan. Some people, that's subjective. Some people might disagree. They might be, no, he was great. I didn't think he was a good player, but he wasn't a great player. But as a coach, oh, man.
Well, he played on the Knicks, obviously, right?
Yeah.
You got to think how many people that were on that team that played really well back then. You had
Yeah.
Ewing,
Oakley,
Starks, Mason.
Yes. Thank you for bringing up Mason.
There's somebody else.
The X-Men, Xavier McDaniels.
Yeah,
him.
There's one other player.
Who
I'm
else
trying to
did we
remember his
have?
name. With Derek Harper.
Nobody ever talks about Derek Harper.
Yeah, so that's that. A lot of good people on
Didn't
there.
Derek Harper, when they had to fight with the Bulls the season Jordan left, he threw Steve Kerr through the chairs right on the sideline.
There was a and there was a rumor that they had somebody on the Bulls. I think his name was JoJo English.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a rumor that the Bulls asked him to pick a fight with him to get him out of there. That way you take away one of their weapons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I never heard that rumor, but it won't surprise me because there was a lot of corruption in 90s basketball. Did you ever watch that documentary on that referee that threw a lot of big games and he made millions off of it? And I don't know if he went to jail for it or whatnot, but he said how he can't speak on who told him to do it, but he also used that as a weapon, like so nobody can't touch him.
I haven't heard of it, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
You got to watch it, man. It's really interesting. I don't know if it was like a full documentary, but I watched it on TV with my pops. And everything with my pops is a conspiracy. Like, see, I told you. I'm like, well, you was right this time. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, all sports is corrupt, but we still gotta love it. What do you feel about? And I'm glad I got you here, man. I'm really glad because I want to talk some stuff today. What do you feel about the UFC joining forces with WWE? They got, I think it's called a knockout group, something like that. They have they're under one umbrella now.
So I think it's really cool, like cross promoting each other.
Yeah.
When you get two different brands or whatever you want to call it, start working together. I think it's really smart.
Yes.
Because you could bring people that may not have paid attention to that before.
Yeah.
And they somehow mix and then work together.
Now, I was a big fan of WWF as a kid. I'm not a big fan now. I respect the wrestlers for the hard work that they put in. You're training, then a lot of them got to cover their own travel expenses. So even on the business side, for you to get slammed for 20 minutes and then jump right on the highway and drive to your next city because you guys are basically on tour and pain, ribs hurting, that says a lot, right? But will we see the WWE scripted stuff in the UFC? That's my concern. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it might be, if you want to get some laughs, it would probably be really funny.
But, because I love MMA a lot. I love Bellator, I love UFC. If that trickles down into it, I'm walking away. I ain't watching. I can't do it.
If some people get a kick out of it and they see that it's got momentum, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, I don't want to see John Jones. Let me tell you something, brother. I don't want to see that. I don't want. Speaking of that, Hulk Hogan just got remarried. He's like 70 years old.
Yeah, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, I think, just became dads again.
Yeah,
they're
man.
older than him. I think.
Yeah, they are. That's kind of scary to me. I don't want to start over that late. I want starting over ain't bad, but then having a kid that late, I wouldn't even. Oh man, I don't know if I would have the patience. You know what I'm saying?
That's what, once again, going back to not letting age define you and taking care of yourself. Because if you're going to be around 80, 90 years old or older, who wants to live their life in pain?
True that. You might as well just go all the way out. I saw the pictures of Hulk Hogan at the wedding. He had like the do-rag in the fanny pack.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I think his wife was like 30 years younger than him. You know what I'm saying?
That's typically how it'll go. You go look for the younger woman.
I mean, if you got that money and the celebrity status, and he just opened up a business. He's got a weed business with Mike Tyson now.
Huh.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Which I think is great. You know what? Shouts out to Hulk Hogan, man. Shouts out to Hulk Hogan. He just did a really good interview with Joe Rogan, and he was breaking down a lot of stuff. I didn't know Hulk Hogan was so great and heavy into the business side of things. How important do you think is the business side as far as that matching the physical side? Because a lot of people fall short. They'll focus so much on the physical side, and the business side is just washing away.
You could have all the talent in the world, but if you don't know how to properly market yourself, that's a huge problem. Because when I talk to newer comedians, I usually say to them, when you're gonna be on a show, you gotta share the flyer and let people know on social media, and you gotta talk to people because there's got to be at least one comedian you could think of that you don't think is funny, but is super popular. Yeah. Because a lot of times people like you.
Yes.
If it's not. I feel like sometimes comedy now, it's not. You don't even necessarily have to be as funny as you are popular and people like you.
This is true.
So if people like you, even if they don't think you're that funny, they're still going to support you.
You know what? Having a great personality opens the door for people.
Yes.
A great door. But hold that thought. We will come back with the Life of Produk Podcast. This is episode 104. I got the homie Christopher Corrado on the show. Shouts out to Anchor FM, which is now Spotify for podcasters. We will be right back with the second segment. Yeah, what up, man? It's the boy Produk. We're now back with the Life of Produk Podcast. This is episode 104. A lot of people reached out to me. If you want to sponsor, if you want to interview, if you want advertisement, it is lifeofproduct@gmail.com or corporate.ent@gmail.com. That is corporate with the K. We are now running 50% off for all advertisement. Holla at your boy, talk to me. I got Christopher Corrado on the show. What's good, my guy?
I'm just happy to be in. I like your Aaliyah shirt, too,
by
the way.
Thank you. I was a big Aaliyah fan. Really big Aaliyah fan. Very unfortunate what happened. I would love to see them take a lot of her music and just remix it and just like, those post albums that they do. I think that'd be fire or whatnot, man. But I want, boom, quick question for you. Tonight's the Charlo and the Charlo and Canelo fight.
Yes.
What's your predictions on that?
Well, I always feel very good about Canelo. I think he's come a long way.
Yes.
I definitely has a fantastic boxing style from watching him.
Yeah.
I think when he went up a weight class, that probably wasn't the best.
No, because he lost that fight to that dude. But he didn't get knocked out. It went the distance.
Yeah, no.
But you could see him struggling.
Right. A lot of times that, believe it or not, just going up one weight class is just a big difference.
It is, man. It is. A lot of people don't understand that, right? Imagine you are 150 pounds, right? And you're undefeated. You're knocking people out. You got to pack 10 pounds on. Now, this is 10 pounds of muscle because you don't want to be 10 pounds of fat. Muscle and fat hold differently. You know what I mean? You don't want to be sluggish. Now, you got 10 pounds of mass and muscle on trying to move at the same speed. Your stamina, that might cut your stamina down by 3 rounds. You know what I'm saying? But what do you think that fight's going to go? You calling it Canelo?
Yeah. And when you said going back to the weight thing, I always tell people, I said, even if you aren't the fastest, if you have good footwork, and you know how to cut somebody off, Tyson Fury. Yeah, that's
what I mean.
Working angles.
Yeah,
angles are so important in boxing.
And you would know because you do a lot of training and refereeing as well.
Yeah, I do a little refereeing, mostly just with the guys at the gym. I haven't actually been in the ring doing it, but I have.
Okay.
I have competed before, and I do coach people like that are just starting off with boxing, and we have these drills where we work angles, and I show them. I say, listen, just step up and over, so you can't really, unless you see me right now. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. So just for example, if you take your front foot and move it up and off to the side, have the back one follow. Yeah, you'd be amazed how much ground you can cover in that ring. Yeah, and then you're there, you time it perfectly. Maybe like throw a hook or something like that, and stop your opponent.
Yeah, that's effective, man. I've seen that a lot in boxing. But that brings you a fighter that doesn't always work against a lot of fighters. A lot of fighters, their training camps are so good. Take like a Mayweather. You have people try to cut off the ring and cut him off, and it didn't quite go so well because he's so fast and he knows how to dance on the ropes. If you got a fighter like that, you're cutting him off, you're doing your L-shaped stuff, and you can't quite get him in that one spot. What do you do? What's your next move?
Yes, Mayweather, once again, he's just an exceptional boxer. You know what I'm saying? I've watched him, work that shoulder roll and watch people, just miss him by, a hair, ridiculously just miss him. And then he counters, and he's just gone. Yeah. You ever go back and watch Mayweather fights? Because watching it sometimes, the intensity of you watching it live, you might think that person caught him. They might throw a 10P, he got at least five of them. He didn't get none of them. Yeah, it's not necessarily a clean shot. I would recommend if you ever box somebody with the shoulder roll, I would just punch their arm a lot. Yeah, and I told that to my son because we were going to Atlantic MMA. We were heading back. We were doing open mat, and we were talking about shoulder rolling. And I said, if you got a guy with that shoulder roll and hit that arm, I said, hit the arm, go for the body. You know what I mean? Going for the body. If he's shoulder rolling like this, he's leaving this area somewhat open. If he's bringing that arm over at least 2-3 inches towards this part, and I said that's effective. Look for that body shot hook. Yeah, exactly. Because you can only shoulder roll but so much if right here is starting to get hit. Now you got to move, then you got to block this. So, but there's ways to do it. It sounds easier than what it is. Of course, yeah. It sounds a lot easier. Yeah. Sean Strickland, did you see when Sean Strickland fought Israel Adesanya? I haven't seen that. You gotta watch it, man. Now was it Sean Strickland that was shoulder rolling? I think it was Sean Strickland that was shoulder rolling. That shoulder rolling works in MMA too, but MMA is a little different. It's harder to have the same hand game as it is in boxing because now with boxing we're only fighting with this. MMA we're fighting everything. You might boom and then the guy grabs you, takes you to the ground. The science is different. I always like to watch MMA fight, say when Holly Holm fought Ronda Rousey. That was a good fight. You got a boxer / kickboxer versus a judokan. Yes. Yeah, and that's the funny thing. Me and John was talking about that on the interview when he came through the other day. And we and him both came to the same conclusion: having hands can win the fight.
Defense wins the game. Defense wins the fight. Having hands is very effective in an MMA fight. How do you feel about these crossover fights that we've seen with MMA fighters and boxers over the years? It's particularly when McGregor fought Mayweather.
Right.
That's people still talk about that fight. That was like 2017?
Yeah, it's been quite some time,
man.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because Mayweather had just turned 40, and he's like 46 now. So yeah. Well, what's your take on that?
I think it's cool. I think it's I would like to see the reverse, actually. And just,
that's what I've been saying that for
why not
years,
try a
man.
boxer, go in there in the octagon, or try to learn how to throw some kicks, or work on the hip tosses and arm bars and stuff, and see how you fare there.
I would love to see that. I mean, you know what? I got to give McGregor credit, because McGregor did better than a lot of people thought he would do, because his background actually was in boxing or whatnot. I do think that if McGregor was Mayweather's size and he was smaller, he would have lost faster. But not for nothing, man, he caught Mayweather with punches we haven't seen anybody catch him with in a long time.
Yeah, when you go back and look at, slow it down, or like get, just pictures, you see like, oh wow.
Yeah.
The connections.
Yeah.
But Mayweather knew he was going to wear out.
Yeah, he did.
He just finally capitalized on that at the end.
Yeah. A full boxing fight is about 36 minutes?
Yeah, 12. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got MMA, which is about 25 minutes. You got
only if it's championship fight.
Because they do mostly 3 rounds, and then if it's a champion, it's 5. And then McGregor, if you watch some of his fights, he gasses out a lot, especially after he put a little bit of weight on. Like he tends to in a MMA fight, I would say about 3rd round, he kind of gasses out. So like look at when he fought Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
He gassed out the end of that. When he fought Khabib, he put up a decent fight in the beginning, but you could see him getting tired. So it's kind of, I feel like the conditioning for MMA is not the same. I feel like boxing conditioning is better. Even boxers be in better shape than MMA fighters, and that's another thing. Nobody ever touches that. we don't really touch on that, man. I would with these crossover fights that's happening, I would love to see crossover fights with bare knuckle fighters going into boxing.
Yeah, and some of them actually kind of got their start in just traditional boxing with gloves on, and then they decided to move over to that. I think bare knuckle. Yeah. I don't want to sit there and say it'll be bigger than UFC, but I could see it being a serious, big time rival.
I think you're right. I see the potential in bare knuckle, especially if what's cool about bare knuckle, right? You got everyday guys with dreams and talent that are getting a shot. You see that in MMA, but not as much because the training is a little different. So a guy that has hands can't really just step into the MMA world because there's you got to train for at least elite. If you can't get out of a red naked chokehold, you can't get in that octagon. You can't do it. But guys that got hands that might have not got the opportunity with boxing, missed that window. That window's open back now with bare knuckle. So what I do love about the crossover fights though with boxing and MMA, it was particularly the UFC fights going out. They're getting money now. They're getting real money. These guys been kind of they got cauliflower ears for $60,000 a fight. After taxes and you paying your corner, how much is that? That ain't a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? You might be less than $20,000 in your pocket.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize fighting or anything in general. What they the costs are with getting involved in things and all the money you have to spend to do all of it. You're not as rich as you think you are, or as rich as you think they are.
Yeah. It sucks because these guys, these guys they lose teeth, they're leaving bloody and black eyes off our entertainment. So I feel like, and not to criticize Dana White, I know it's all a business, but UFC tickets go for a lot of money. They go for a lot of money. I would love to just see, and I'm not saying they're not making money because some of them are living good, but I would love to see that bag just go up a little bit. They deserve it. You know what I'm saying? When you got guys fighting for like $60 million in boxing, you can't tell me that the UFC guys ain't looking back like I want that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How much did Ben Askren make when he fought Jake Paul?
I couldn't tell you.
But I'm pretty sure, I'm willing to bet he made a lot of money off that. And Ben Askren, honestly, he looked like he was fresh off the street. He looked like he had cracked the 40 open the night before. He said, let me just get this bag. Let me hit this pavement. Not the pavement. Let me hit the floor and let me just go home. And I'm not mad at him if he did that, honestly.
You just let me know how old you are when you talked about cracking a 40.
Yeah, I'll put my age out there, right? Oh, man, no more 40s. We ain't doing that. Yo, it's the Boy Product, Life of Produk Podcast. We will be right back with the third part of the show. Shouts out to Corrado for coming through. Stay tuned. Yeah, what up, man? It's the Boy Product. We're not back with the Life of Product Podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Tyler's Outlet. Go to tylersoutlet.store. Use promo code FREE4ME. That is free, the number 4ME, $, all your orders over $50. Tell them your boy Product sent you. We are back, episode 104, man. Christopher Corrado is in the building. You've been doing a lot, Chris. Not even just with the sports stuff, man. I want to talk about the comedy shows that you've been going in. At what point did you say, you know what, let me dibble and dabble in this?
Yeah, so back in 2010, you know, like I felt like a lot of just stuff was not going so good in my life.
Yeah.
I had been engaged and that got broken off.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
It's no problem. A long time ago.
Yeah.
My dad had been in and out of the hospital. He wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
And at the job I was working at the time, I didn't get the promotion that I thought. It's like it just like happened in threes. So like when you go through a breakup, when you've been with someone for so long, you got a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah, so, it's true. I've been there.
Instead of going down, you know, a bad path, I decided to go down a good path, and that's when I first like really cranked up going to the gym more.
Yeah,
working on my first book and starting comedy at an open mic in Charlotte.
That's dope. I can't remember. Did you tell me before about the book? I don't know if did we speak about that?
We might have.
We probably did. What was the book about?
So the first one is it's called A New York Night with Carmine McNally.
Okay.
It takes place from like the late 90s to like 2007.
Yeah.
This dude talks about his life from his studio apartment in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And it ranges, it takes place everywhere from like New York to down here to Afghanistan. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, he goes without, if anyone decides to read it, he does join the military at some point in the book.
Okay. That's kind of dope, man. You know, I give you a lot of credit because writing a book is not easy. I think it's not easy, but I think writing it is the easiest part amongst other things because when you compare it to finding a distributor, all of that stuff, because I wrote a book in 2018. It was like a musical memoir. And to me, the writing it was the easiest part. But when I had to get it sized right, put it on Amazon, upload it, things like that, I ran into some problems. So I give you a lot of credit to be able to do that. And if you did that on your own, that's great, man.
Not really. Like I said,
okay.
I have used companies before to help me with that.
Yeah, well, I'm not mad at that. If you one of my clients, he's a writer and he used companies and things like that, and I ain't mad at him. The writing is incredible. You don't want to shortchange, your craft by trying to do everything yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of people will suggest people when they're independent to do everything yourself. I don't suggest that. I look at your strong points and whatever you're weak at, hire people. This is why they have people that do those jobs.
Yeah, I hired somebody to draw the covers. I hired somebody to edit it.
Yeah.
The thing is, you could read something over and over again and not catch the mistake.
Yeah, this is true. So I edited mine myself, and I read over it about 5 times. And then when I got the final copy, I'm like, oh, it was great, put it out. Later on, months later, I noticed one mistake. And I was like, okay, never again. I'll get somebody to edit next time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's important, man. As far as the sales go, how did it do?
I'm not gonna lie, I can't say I've sold a lot of books.
Okay.
But they are out there. So
yeah. But the good so I used to have a friend that was a writer. We're not really cool no more. The good thing about a book, right? And he told me this. He said there's no stamp date, there's no timestamp on it. He said 20 years from now, the right person can pick up your book and probably post it, and now you just sold 1,000 copies of it. You know what I'm saying? And so for the people listening, I got a lot of people that write that listen. I'm gonna drop some free knowledge on y'all. Somebody put this on to me. You can put your books in the prison system and make royalties off of it every time it's checked out. This is what I was told, and I was like, okay, this is so. At a certain point, look into it. You just never know, because if they're in there, God forbid, doing 10 years, and they got nothing to do, they might check that book out 20 times and read it, and your book might change somebody's life. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever gotten positive feedback from it?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think sometimes when people read a book, they got to be something you can learn from that.
Yeah,
I try to put a lot of life lessons.
Yeah, that's great. Now, back to the comedy shows, right? When you first started doing the comedy shows, with you being fresh into that around 2010, like what challenges did you run into?
So I think it was definitely trying to remember all your stuff without having to look at notes.
Yeah.
And just trying to keep constantly coming up with new material.
Yeah.
And then finding ways that if you think a joke is hysterical and no one else is laughing, do you throw the joke out, or is it something you can do to change it?
Yeah, that had to be hard.
Yeah, but I tell people now, as I say, a lot of times it's not that your joke isn't funny.
Yeah.
You're saying it so fast. You're stepping on your own punchline.
Yeah.
And you're not giving people time to, it doesn't always hit right away. It might take, and then people start laughing. So, and in a sense, if you do that, if you say it slower, have the right timing, your set can be like 2-3 minutes longer than you originally thought, because you're giving them time to laugh.
I seen somebody do that one time. I was at a comedy show, me and my cousin, and it was like an old male lineup, and she was the only female. And I felt like she was one of the funniest ones there. And her closing joke was like a joke of incest. And nobody really caught on to it, but I thought I was like the only one laughing. Everybody turned and looked at me like, it's not funny. It was funny. Maybe I got a dark sense of humor.
I do.
You know, so you get it. You know what I'm saying? But so doing comedy shows, is it hard packing them out?
Yeah, it can be. I always recommend it's like anything else. You just got to keep telling people.
Yeah.
And you got to stay relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I can't stress enough that, and if you're in business for yourself, regardless of what you're doing, you have to just keep telling people about it.
Yeah. Because I would walk through Manhattan. I would always see like the young teenagers like trying to scalp the tickets for like different comedy spots. Like, hey, come to the comedy show 20. I'm like, no, get out of here. Yeah. I won't do it. And I feel bad now because I eventually at one point I would start going to comedy shows and I was like, these are really good. Like really good. Man.
Yeah, I remember in Times Square, like people who make albums and stuff like that, trying to sell their CDs. Right there. Yeah,
I actually bought a lot of independent CDs from people. Like so between downtown Brooklyn, Times Square, and Jamaica Avenue in Queens, I bought a CD from a dude. We knew the same people. And I met him once when I bought his CD. And rest in peace to him. I think his name was Hollywood Plate. And I had met him. When I first moved out to Queens or whatever, he used to be on Jamaica Avenue all the time. And I'm like, yo, this dude from Brooklyn, he all the way out here. Let me support it. And I paid $5 for a CD. And then, unfortunately, he was doing a lot of shows, like really blowing up. And unfortunately, he passed away or whatnot. And what brings me to my next thing, I met him once. We knew some of the same people. I think we were friends on social media at one point. But it sucks that he didn't kind of get the recognition he deserved until he died. Like, BT did like a whole tribute to him and stuff like that. Do you see comedians right now? Have you met comedians at this moment that you know are great, but they just haven't got that shot?
Yo, yeah, plenty of them.
And it has got to suck to see that because you see the talent. Yeah. You see the talent, but sometimes life gets in the way.
And like I said, it also goes back to money. I mean, you can be super hysterical, but a comedy club has bills to pay.
Yes, this is true.
If you can't get people in there to see you, they're gonna lose money.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, so you gotta it's not always just about being funny anymore. It's about making money.
Yeah. That's kind of like it equates to music. That's why there's so many whack artists on right now. Even with comedy, that's why so many Instagram, social media people are like comedians now.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're not funny. I'm not saying that, but they kind of crack the code on how to get people to look at them.
Yes.
Or whatnot. Like, does that ever bother you? Or do you ever take a page out of that book?
No, I think using social media is smart.
It is.
If you're using it the right way.
Yeah. It's social media is weird, right? I think I'm an overthinker, Chris. And I kind of things bother me, right? Not seeing people doing great bothers. I love seeing people do great. But it bothers me when like a girl will like post her kids and she's like half naked on like the next picture. Oh. It's like, wait a minute, like you should have did like 3 uploads later. You could have did that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Maybe I'm different, man. I'm not like an old Scrooge or whatever. I'm in tune with the times. But certain things like that, do you ever see things that trigger you? Because we're on social media so much. Do things like ever trigger you and you look at it like, this is not the way?
I would just have to say it's a shame when you see friends or people in the same industry fighting over politics.
Yeah.
When you can be so much more productive just not doing it there.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't have the courage to tell that person in their face.
Yeah.
You're going to fight with them on a Facebook page.
That's crazy. I've seen
so much
people
more
do that.
Productive things you could do with your life.
You know what? I had one argument with a family member via Facebook public, and they started it, and I'm glad we got past that. And then it was kind of like I wasn't gonna like entertain it at first, and then I did entertain it, and then people were like, "No, you guys need to chill." And then later on, I looked at it, and I was like, "That ain't the way, man." It just wasn't.
You could have a productive conversation doing it online, but try to be productive about it.
Yeah.
If the other person is not respectful, there's no reason to insult people. Just go do something else with your life.
Yeah, we were like really close cousins, and we got kind of crazy with it. And I'm like, this ain't the way. We grew up like siblings. Let's not do that. But to the people out there, don't argue on Facebook today. Cheers, the Life Produk Podcast. We will be right back with the 4th segment of the show. I got the homie Christopher Corrado in the building. Yeah, what up, man? It's the boy Produk. We're now back with the Life of Produk Podcast. I got the homie Christopher Corrado in the show with me. Chris, I want to say thank you, not just for coming, but for plugging me in with BYB. BYB, they sponsored the last show, John Bernard, which is one of the fighters. Will you be going to the event next month?
Absolutely.
I'm in the building, man. I'm in the building. Who's on for the card that they have? How many fighters are on that?
I've seen 3 main fights on the not there's gonna be more than that, but
Yeah.
I've seen 3 main bouts that they have on that main flyer.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like it's gonna be a lot more than that.
Oh, good.
But things could change. Sometimes people they re-rate. I've seen that happen all the time. Amateur and pro fighting, where something's got to change. Somebody gets a fight, doesn't get a fight.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been to shows anywhere from like 5 fights to like more than 20.
I went to one in Pennsylvania years ago. Me and my cousin went, and my homeboy Fernando Guerrero, he was one of the main fighters. He fought. He was like a champion and everything, and that was his last fight. And he fought right before the main event, right before like the top fighters, whatever. And I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. Watching on TV, you see like 3 fights or whatever, 3 maybe 4 fights. It had to be about 11 to 12 fights that day. And so it was at the Sands. Was it the Sands Casino? Something like the one they had in Bethlehem, but they moved. It was in Bethlehem, and I think they moved it to another location, probably like down the street or something. These dudes were fighting. These dudes were fighting like their life depended on it. Like they were like, okay, I saw so much talent, and I never seen these guys fight ever after that. And that's got to be heartbreaking to see fighters with so much talent. They get in there, they get bloody, they bruised up, they win, they lose, go home, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure there's some kind of reason why they're not getting back in there.
Mm-hmm.
It could be economical, could be family.
Yeah, a lot of that is who you know too, man. Especially with boxing, who you know was real. I had a homeboy, and he was a boxing promoter. His boxer was good. I'm not gonna say his boxer was bad. His boxer was good. He had a 3-fight deal on the table, and it didn't go so well with the fight that he got him. He didn't win the belt, so it was kind of off the table. But how do you feel about the political side of boxing? Because it kind of, I feel like everything, politics messes a lot of stuff up. I feel like if the politics stuff with boxing, fighting in general, if it was filtered out, the sport in general might be better.
Well, it goes back to just like what we said about comedy. It's money. Something is economical in there. Does it make economic sense for these 2 people to fight each other?
Yeah.
A lot of times they look at stuff like that.
This is true. How do you feel about movies like Creed that comes out? A lot of people were trying to say how you had the people that loved it. I love the Creed series because I love the Rocky series, but you have a lot of people that are trying to say, "Oh, that's not real. It's just a movie." Like, come on, man. I think we saw the beautiful side of it, but we saw his struggles. But there's more that goes into it. As far as like the struggles of boxers, it's just the financial side and things like that. Like, okay, the movie with Halle Berry, did you see that when she played like an MMA fighter from Jersey?
Halle Berry?
Yo, you didn't see? Oh, you got to see that, man. So Creed was great. I loved it, and he gets successful, things like that. He fought from the ground up. The movie with Halle Berry, she's a MMA fighter from Jersey. She's older, and this is her time to get back out there. It's a good movie, man. You got to see. So in her character in the movie, she had like a kid that she wasn't raising. The kid comes back. Her boyfriend was her trainer. He was abusive. She ends up with the new trainer, which is a female. They hook up. But it's a great movie, man. I think she directed it as well.
Okay.
I don't know if she won any awards for that movie, but if you love fighting, it's a great movie to watch. Okay. Really, where do you see the future of boxing going?
Well, I feel like it's getting more popular now.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you have like the crossovers,
or
the Paul brothers, or Bare Knuckle, so it looks like in some kind of ways it's getting popular again, more popular.
Mm-hmm.
And there's these other things going on too that's just getting people to pay more attention to. But
I got mixed feelings on the Paul brothers, particularly Jake Paul. I give them a lot of credit because these dudes are very athletic. Did you see the way Logan Paul was flipping off the WWE top ropes and stuff like that? That ain't easy. I'm not doing that. That's incredible. To be able to market yourself to get to a fight with Mayweather when there's a line full of guys, that's incredible. That's genius to me. I like the fact that Jake Paul in particular was putting money in people's pockets. Nate Diaz got a big payday off of that, and it's rumored that was his big payday from fighting. If it is, that's great. My issue is Jake Paul in particular is not going to get better if he doesn't fight real fighters, his age, his size. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, you see that a lot in boxing and stuff like that. Like, him and both Mayweather. Now they're not gonna. Oh, it's a little bit different, but obviously you want the wins. You don't want to go in there and lose.
Yeah, true.
But I think if he really wants to get better at boxing, you might just have to start going with guys more around your age that just stick to straight boxing.
Yeah,
I think Mayweather's just having fun to just keep doing it.
I think Mayweather's put his work in. Yeah, he's put so much work into. A lot of people. They're quick to say he hasn't fought nobody, right? He fought De La Hoya. He fought a young Canelo. He fought Sugar Shane. He fought Pacquiao, though. Pacquiao has, what, 2 losses? 2 or 3?
A little bit more than that, but still not many.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of like, come on. He gave Keith Thurman his first loss. You know what I mean? Keith Thurman beat Danny Garcia. So, we kind of can't say Mayweather didn't fight nobody. Mm-mm. Everybody loves to say that, you know what I'm saying? Then they throw out, they throw out fighters, I think, like Julio Cesar Chavez, who had a better record. These guys did have better records, but this is the time period he's from now. So we kind of can't say that. But I think Jake Paul, if Jake Paul wants to take actually being a boxer serious, being a boxer and being an entertainer, they intertwine, but they're different, right? If he wants to stay an entertainer, keep doing what you're doing. He's getting money. He's great, right? But if he wants the respect from the boxing world, he's gonna have to look at his record. He's 5-1, something like that. Yeah. I can't remember. Look what happened when he fought Tommy Fury. Tyson Fury, little brother.
And ended up losing.
He ended up losing. He would have got knocked. Tommy Fury brother was 8-0, right? If Tommy Fury, Fury little brother, if Tommy Fury at the time had been about 15-0, he would have knocked him out. Clearly would have knocked him out. But that just shows me you could train all day. You could go to the gym. You could hit the bag. You could spar. Sparring with people that you know or the guys they throw you is totally different from 10,000 people in the crowd. You find a guy that you never met. You just met him at the press conference. There's a big difference. So I think Jake Paul has potential to be great, but he's gonna have to know how it feels to get knocked down and get up on a real 8 count at the 7th round and really fight his way back to win. So if he wants to get that respect from the boxing world, that's where he's gonna have to go. Now I don't think he's gonna do that.
It doesn't seem that way. It seems like he's just doing it more for the entertainment side.
Yeah.
Whereas Mayweather has
I ain't mad at it,
No. Mayweather has nothing left to prove, in my opinion.
Nah, he doesn't.
But I don't think Mayweather's going to fight anybody that could give him a chance, that has a chance against him.
I don't think
he's not stupid.
Nah. He's 46 years old, man. And, Father Time, it might be kicking in soon. Did you see the fight when he fought John Gotti III?
Yeah, look, the guy got, it was really weird. It was like the guy was getting tired and, guy didn't want to fight no more. Then it's over and now you want to fight. I don't know what that was about.
That guy got kind of crazy in the ring, man.
Unless that was meant for some type of show, I don't know.
First I was thinking, what if they're doing that? My conspiracy side kicked in. What if they're doing this for the rematch? But I think it got kind of really heated. You know what I'm saying? But I would like to see John Gotti Jr. III do more fights. He's a great MMA fighter. Boxing is a little different, like you said, cutting off in the ring and things like that. Back to BYB. BYB's ring is different. Mm-hmm. It's like a triangle. I think that's like a crazy yet genius concept. Because when I was growing up in Brooklyn, like I had an older brother, right? And all my cousins were older. I was from the set of the younger cousins, right? And toe-to-toe was a thing you had to do. So me as a kid, being 8 to 10 years younger than my brother, my cousins, whatever, you get in the living room, you ain't running. He would put his foot on my foot and make me fight him. Right there. So imagine you being like 8 years old fighting your 16-year-old brother. These are things, but I like the concept because it reminds me of that. Or whatnot. What do you see the future of BYB going?
Yeah, so like you said, if you're fighting in a triangle type ring, a trigon as they call it, I believe, you better be good at slipping. Yeah. Especially if you get caught in the pointy part of the triangle. Yeah. Because if you can't sidestep or move, you better be good at slipping. Yeah. And you better find a way to counter or be aggressive enough to get out of it. Unless you want to fight in the corner like
some guys might. I don't know. They might want to do that. I think it's risky getting in that into that triangle. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's a wonderful concept. I feel like 2-3 years down the line, because there were 21 fights now, 22 fights, something like that. I think it's something like that. I think 2-3 years down the line, it's gonna be. It has potential to be one of the top leagues because it's different. Now, are you with the fight next month? Are you refereeing? What are you doing? Are you just there to promote?
I'm just sharing a lot of this stuff and just trying to get more people on your show.
That's great.
Just helping them get the word out because I live in Rock Hill. Yeah. So
you like Mr. Rock Hill, man. You kind of like I see. Listen, Chris, I ain't stupid, man. I see what you're doing, man. You about to be like man status. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see.
I think you're quietly building yourself up to something big. You might not even realize it.
I'm trying.
You know what I'm saying? You might not even realize. Do you see yourself training down the line, like training like real top fighters?
You know what? It's not off the table. Mm-hmm. Right now I'm just training a lot of people that are just getting started in boxing. Like let's just say, for example, you've never boxed before in your life. Let's just say you haven't. Yeah. And you've been on the couch for the last 10 years not working out. Yeah. I'd be a really good coach for you. Yeah. But now if you were like 15-0 as a champion, I shouldn't be. I could work with you, but I can't. Yeah. I wouldn't feel comfortable training you to fight people at that level.
I understand.
I feel comfortable training like a new person.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm pretty sure you meet a lot of guys that you train now. You might have the next Tyson in there, man. You might be sitting on gold, Chris. I'm telling you, man. The guy might be there. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on yourself. Or whatnot. Before we wrap the show, do you have any shout outs you want to give? Any advice to anybody? Because you say some really, really good stuff. It's like straight to the point. And I got like a lot of younger kids are listening now. So a younger kid right now that wants to be a fighter, he's coming out of, particularly a kid in the Carolinas. Because South Carolina, you guys have a full boxing commission. I don't believe they have one in North Carolina yet. So a kid right now coming out of the Carolinas that wants to fight, what advice would you give him as far as how to get started?
I would give everybody the same pretty much advice, boxing or comedy or anything.
Yeah.
Is that I'll give you the short version, the long version. I'll start with the short. Short version is always remember who you are, where you came from, and who helped you along the way.
It's good.
I think when you forget who you are, where you came from, and who helped you along the way, a lot of your success, in my opinion, isn't as valid.
I like that.
And then I would have to say is that if you really want to be successful in something, some of the best piece of advice I can give you is you're going to have to work really hard. You're going to have late nights and early mornings. You're going to wake up and you're going to be like, I really don't want to do this thing. I'm just so tired. And you're going to have a lot of failures. You're going to fall down a lot. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Rocky Marciano goes 49-0 or Floyd Mayweather goes 50-0. Even though they had perfect records in boxing, they suffered somewhere along the line and sacrificed, whether it be hanging out with their friends, spending time with family, being down in the just hating life because things may not be going their way. People don't see that. They and a lot of times people don't share that. They don't. Now that we have social media, people will share might be more willing to share their sad days. So I recommend everybody, even if you're super young and you like your electronics and stuff, I still recommend writing stuff down. Even if you just have like a daily planner, if you just have 5 tasks, it doesn't even matter. It could be grocery shopping, an hour at the gym, calling a best friend to check in, whatever it is. Just when you make a line through that or put a check mark and say, I did 5 things today. That is very good for your mental health.
It is.
And it really is a game changer for me, just being able to put down stuff on paper. Because when you don't do it, and that it's like it's looking right back at you. That thing you were supposed to do is looking at you saying it.
That's great. That's great advice, man. I write stuff down all the time, and I like to go back through my notes just to be recurrent on everything. So I felt that, and I just want to say thank you because it reminded me that I'm doing the right thing. I don't think I'm crazy.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But thank you for that because I got I checked the analytics, and a lot of that 30 and up crowd was listening. Now it's crazy. I got the 13 and up crowd. And I'm like, okay, wow. So let me go ahead and try to drop some knowledge on them. I pray they listen because kids be hard-headed.
And use social media the correct way. Don't go on there and post dumbass stuff you're doing. It's going to get you in trouble one day.
Thank you.
Just stay busy. Read something, man. It's got to be there's got to be something you could like to read that you could enjoy to still keep that going instead of just
people.
Always
they read
on
captions
the phone.
now. They don't read books anymore.
Right.
They read captions, man. I told somebody recently. I said I use my web browser just as much as I use my apps. You know what I mean? Because I like to learn stuff. I like to just. It could be something random. Like I feel like knowledge is key. But I might go read about an athlete or a fighter that did something, but it's the science part of it that, to me, it has to match the physical part. And I just want everybody to understand that. But cheers, the boy Produk. Life of Produk Podcast, episode 104. The homie Christopher Corrado came through. When is your next comedy show, Chris? Let the people know.
So the next show I'm doing will be this coming Wednesday night. It's at the Goat Bar and Grill in Indian Land.
Okay.
This show has no cover.
Oh, that's dope.
And I'm hosting it. I got 3 other comedians, one from Fort Mill, one from Columbia, and I believe one from Aiken.
I told you, this guy's Mr. South Carolina, right? This guy's Mr. South Carolina. You are really putting on for the state. Do you ever so that's the northern side of South Carolina. You ever get the crowd from the middle or the southern side of South Carolina to come up?
Yeah, so I've booked people from, I think Aiken, that's pretty much knocking on the door of Georgia.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, we definitely, I've booked people from, different parts of the country. You know, sometimes people could be just from, even as far as California, if they just happen to be over here. And they look for people who produce shows in this area. So they might hit me up or like hit someone else up and say, hey, can I get on here just to have somewhat of a footprint around here?
I got to make it out to one of your shows soon, man. I got to free myself up. Life been moving a mile a minute.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm gonna send it back though, because I don't want to get made fun of.
No.
I saw those shirts you had. I survived the Corrado show, man. I see those before, man.
Well, those, like I said, a lot of when you first get started in something, and I just like you said, to give some advice to the people listening, younger or whatever, is that a lot of your early success is going to come from, you're just trying to make a name for yourself.
This is true.
There's no big venue that says, "Oh, have you done comedy before? I did an open mic once. How would you like the headline? Madison Square Garden will pay $1 million. Yeah. You're gonna have to do comedy." There's this one, comedian one time told me, he's like, "You do comedy in places that never would have had comedy." So
that's great advice.
When you're doing comedy at a place where there's no cover, there's no telling who's gonna be there.
Yeah.
So if somebody walks in there who doesn't care about comedy or your show and they're having a bad day, they just want to have a drink and eat a hamburger or something, if you can get them to stop, listen, and enjoy your set, to me, that's a much bigger accomplishment than if they paid money to come see you.
This is true. This is definitely true. Man, that's great advice. That's great. And I just want to say thank you, man, because the listeners, man, they hit me up with a lot of feedback. Too much feedback sometimes. I got to tell them chill out. But that is great. That is great. You are welcome back to the show anytime, Chris.
Thank you.
Anytime you want to come back, you got my number. Call me. Instagram me. We on deck, brother. It's the boy Produk. Life of Produk Podcast, episode 104. I'm out, baby. Yeah.
You are now listening to the Life of Produk Podcast.